Hello. In this tutorial, I will explain how to create a 2D game with Godot Engine. Well, first proceed to the download, if you haven't done it yet. It's super easy, just go to the official Godot Engine website, and press the download button. If you use Linux or Mac, you will surely have an automatic the button to download it for those operating systems. If not, just go down here and select the operating system you use. Once this is done, you will get a zipper file with all the necessary. Choose a folder where you will extract everything. For convenience you can use the desktop or the classic documents folder, either way it is not very important where you extract the files, create the path that is most convenient for you. Well, now click the executable and it should open a page like this. Assuming you have no projects, you will be faced with a similar situation. Just click on Create New Project and immediately a small window will open for you to configure the project. Well, now create the path to the project, and create the name of the project itself. The same advice as the Godot compressed folder applies here, try to use a path that is convenient to use. Now let's talk about renders, let's do a very short intro. Forward Plus is suitable for larger, more complex games and takes full advantage of Godot's potential. Mobile is clearly indicated for development dedicated to mobile. Compatibility is a lightweight renderer designed for less powerful or obsolete hardware, and boasts fast loading of scenes. Well, now that we have created our Godot project, let's move to the 2D environment by clicking the icon at the top of the window. Now let's turn to a kind of roadmap that I have prepared for you. It will help to clarify the course path. This method is very useful if you want to create software, it will help you keep everything in order and avoid confusion. It is not mandatory that you develop one yourself to take the course, but in case you want to, the software is called Draw.io, it is open source and there is also a fully browser-based version. Well, now let's proceed. It is advisable to have a clear idea of the game you want to create, this will help you keep everything under control. It is also possible to create a video game without following these steps, and develop it according to your ideas of the moment, or you can keep everything in mind. By following this method, you proceed to establish the lore of your game, even if it turns out to be incomplete, don't worry, you can always improve and complete it, but it will be more challenging to embed the gameplay with the lore if you don't have a clear idea from the start. Now my third piece of advice for creating your first video game is to start organizing your game folders and importing your assets, so let's switch to Godot Engine and proceed. Needless to say, you can organize your game folders as you see fit, now I will show you two methods that can simplify your development. You can create folders dedicated to graphics separate from those dedicated to the actual scenes, and this will provide some order. Also create folders dedicated to logic and scenes, separate. Eventually you will have a situation like this. Or you can use a method that is perhaps more intuitive. That is, keep the assets for the map in a separate folder, and create generic folders on NPC and player and put both logic and graphics, sounds etc. in them. Eventually you will have a result like this. Easy to manage and intuitive. Folders and files in Godot can be moved without problems, the problems arise when you move an asset that is already being used elsewhere. In that case the path to that file will be obsolete, and your program when it searches for that asset will find nothing and that will cause malfunctions. In case you want to reorganize all the files while the game is already using them, you will have to update all the paths. Creating a tile map is very simple, open a drawing editor and create a square-sized sheet, and color it according to the choice you have made for your terrain. After that, export to PNG and transfer to Godot by drag and drop. Okay, now that we have defined the game idea and its lore, and imported the assets, we can focus on development. Today we will start with level design. Let's start by creating a tile map for the terrain. Now we create a standard main node, and as a child node we add one of class 2D node, and as a child of 2D node we add a tile map layer node. Now let's go to our tile map layer node and click on the right in the inspector, on the word tileset and select new tileset. We set the tile size to the size of the terrain tile, which for you should be 512, but in my case the minimum square that could be drawn was 1024, so I will enter that size. Clicking at the bottom on tileset button will open a window in which we can drag our block of land. You can save the tileset to have it stored in memory, useful if you want to reuse the same resource elsewhere, and in addition you keep yourself safe for any deleted nodes, the resource will remain yours. Now, by clicking on the tilemap button at the bottom again, we will return to the previous screen. From there we can click on the pencil icon, click on the desired block of land, and draw on the tilemap very conveniently. Tilemaps also feature a method called AutoTile, for creating more complex settings by following a recursive pattern that interlocks the tiles together, but that is a topic that will not interest this course. To make a long story short, the tilemap node brush calls itself, then, the block you set as the default, as long as no conditions are met, typically referring to corners, then it will stop calling the main block and draw what you set as the corner. Now we add physics to our terrain. Go to the Tile Set section via the bottom button in the inspector. At the top you will find 3 more buttons, Configure, Select and Draw. Click on Draw and you will get this menu. Click on the proposed menu under the Draw properties, and you will get a drop-down menu from which you have to click Physics Level. My tile has been selected before, but you most likely have to click on the tile that you are interested in. I recommend that you first select the Select All mode. It is a small icon at the top is located among other colored icons, it is used to select the entire tile. Now let's add the camera, go click the main node and via right-click or make Ctrl+A via keyboard, add the 2D camera element. Now let's go to the inspector, look for the zoom value and zoom in or out your view to make sure that everything is visible on the screen once you start. You can also move the camera if you need to. Now we add a rigid body to test collisions. Add a 2D rigid body node as a child of the main node. To the 2D rigid body add a node called Collision Shape 2D. Select the 2D collision shape and in the inspector on the right click on the shape item and select New Circle Shape. Once selected click on it and increase the radius. Now save and start everything with F5 or the command at the top right of the window. Your terrain should automatically detect collisions. If it does not, try deleting the old terrain with the right mouse button and redraw it. Well, the first lesson is over. Put a nice like if I was helpful, comment if you have doubts or want to express your opinion, and share to support the channel. Stay tuned to the social profiles for any news.